You can see all the different colors. And of course that old fuel. I mean, there's nothing better than having, you know, gas can, sketchy wiring, sitting right behind your seat. Notice the angle of my dangle is not proportional to the heat of my meat, if you know what I mean, if you're a Saturday Night Live fan. No battery.
Ready?
Yeah.
Iron hose. Dangle.
I don't think he knows what fire in a hole means.
Well, it is time to try to get this thing running a little bit better. You know, we bought a carburetor and put on it, and it's been sitting for a while, and it's just because the fuel tank has just been, it's horrible. As long as it's rain will hold off, you can see it's been kind of raining this morning. But I'd like to get this fuel tank replaced. Obviously you can't see inside of the tank, but my dad had it sealed one time. He took it all apart, had it resealed inside, cleaned it out, but the sealer is just breaking loose and it is not holding. So keeps filling up the carburetor. I just can't keep it good and clean enough, even with multiple filters. So it's just time to pull it out and get it replaced, get a new fuel tank in this thing. So let's head on up there. We got one ordered in. We'll pick it up, see what we can do. Since it's a little cruddy today, we'll take this old Duramax if it'll start. Shoot, this thing ain't been started in a few days, so see what happens here. Oh yeah, good to go. All right, made it. That's right, 2 O'Reillys. Hopefully got the tank. We'll check it out, make sure it's the right one. All right, before we get started on pulling this tank out, we probably need to get the gas gauge, see how much gas is actually in there. And got my gas gauge right here. So I'm gonna take this piece of hose and stick it down in there. Probably doesn't sound right, but that's what works, so we're gonna do it. So let me check that real quick, see how much fuel we got in there. We may have to get the electric pump and pump some of that out so we're not having to deal with so much, but let's check it out. Hopefully we can pull this thing out without actually having to pull the seat. I would love to do that. It's pretty simple. Just need to take out the fill hose right here. You got a vent tube right there. We just disconnect both those clamps and slide those hoses up a little bit. Then we got 2 metal straps, holds them down, one right here and one on that side, and you can see there's some couple bolts right there that just holds them down. So hopefully we could just back those off and flip the straps up. Then, you know, we'll just disconnect the feed line here from the sender unit and disconnect the electrical connections, and should be able to raise this thing out of here. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Then we got to make sure to get the other tank, which unfortunately got sent back, but they're getting it picked up for me, and we should be able to get it on. So let me get this fuel gauge, and we'll check, see how much fuel's in there, and empty that out and get started on it. Well, that fuel gauge was the older model, so now I've got the newer model here. It's a little longer. The other one was a little shorter, so let's run it in here and just see how much fuel we have. See if we can slide that in there and hit the bottom, which feels like that's about the bottom of the tank. We only probably got about just very little bit in there, so I don't even think I'm going to worry about trying to pump it out. We should be able to just go ahead and start removing it. All right, we got the 2 bolts out that holds the straps down for the tank, so that's out of there. We're just going to simply undo the fill tube and the return line, and we should be able to just take out the 2 connections and then remove the fuel supply, and this tank's ready to come out. Also, you'll notice that the insulators are homemade, cut out of old floor mat, which worked. Okay. Also, you can see my dad, how he fixed this seat, which the seat hadn't been recovered in who knows when, but looked like he fixed it up with cardboard duct tape, an old bed sheet, some twine, more duct tape. Looks like there is some old rubber from the original seat. But really, it's the seat's got a little bit of everything in it. You can see there it's pretty much shot, but looks like he's got some bed foam that he found somewhere. Some old burlap. So, you know, that's some high quality stuff. You just can't go and buy that at any store. So, anyway, let's pull the rest of these connections off, see if we can get this tank out of here. All right, the straps are loose, the line's loose, the electrical's loose. Wasn't a whole lot to it, really. Got these broke loose, one at the top, one at the bottom. I'm pretty sure that top hose is actually AC refrigerant hose, so it's not even the right hose that went on there, but that sounds about like my dad. It actually says Polar Seal by Gates. That's AC refrigerant hose. Plus, you can see the barrier lining on the inside of it, if I could get it in there close enough. Maybe, yeah, you can see there that that's got a barrier lining for AC hose. So he probably found that somewhere and just threw it on there, but we're ready to lift this thing out of here. So I'm hoping without having to take this seat out, we can just raise it up, come out this way with it without spilling gas everywhere and without spilling it all over me. So let's try to pull this thing out, and then hopefully I'll get the camera where in that sending unit we can really see how bad that tank is, because it is horrible. Actually getting this thing out right now, but I'm an idiot. I should have pulled the fuel out of it. But instead I'm trying to get it out the whole way. Not a good idea for having a little bit of back issues. But let's see if we can ease this puppy out of here. I would say that's pretty stupid. I should have just pumped it out. It would have been a lot easier to pump it out. All right, this is it. You can see it goes all the way across the thing. Feels like it's got a lot of moisture on the bottom of it too. So let me set it up here on the toolbox and we'll take a look at it. And it's a little bit of dirt in there. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned, but this thing comes straight off the farm. This is a 1956 Chevy 3600 used on our old place in Oklahoma, and literally it was used and abused. And if it looks rough, it's because it is rough. It was definitely a work truck on our place, and the goal is really just kind of get it back up and running, and not really do a whole lot to the outside, but just get it running and driving again. Obviously got to do a lot of stuff to it, but anyway, tank's out. So now what we got to do is dive in and let me get inside that thing and I'll show you what it looks like. You can see we got some coating peeling off right there as well. It doesn't really look the best underneath it, so it was probably definitely time for the new tank. So let me get that sending unit off so I can get you down in there a little bit, show you what it looks like. So just got these last two screws to take out here, and if you're wondering if that's the right hardware that's holding the sending unit in, no, it's not. It is self-tapping screws that my dad used. Apparently the originals wouldn't hold, so he must have used a bigger screw in it. Also, if you're wondering about the washers that's used on there, they do have an insulating coating, a rubberized deal on the bottom of them, and you may also recognize those from your metal buildings. That's actually the sealing washer that goes onto a metal building that he used on the sending unit. So let's pull this out and I'll kind of show you what it looks like. It's pretty rank. Just gotta work with this sending unit to get it out. Get this float out. Let me bring that out. We should be able to work this around a little bit. There's a little bit of opening right there. Come on, baby. Let me get it flat here. Maybe it'll come down. Let's do it like this. we go. So the sending unit's out. And now, I may need to grab a flashlight. All right, so the tank is out. You can see here a little bit of cleanup. Got some dirt daubers, wasp nest in here, but you know, that's what you're going to get in any of these trucks. But not really too big of a deal. Only thing we got to make provision for is that little drain tube that's on the bottom of it. But we'll get the new tank, get everything switched over, and get it put back together, put in. So here's the old tank, like we showed. It's pretty rough. It's got some flaking stuff going on down here, so I don't think it was going to hang in too much longer. You can see the paint and stuff breaking away from there with a little bit of rust on there. So it was time. It was time just go ahead and get a new tank, not keep messing with this old one. And again, you know, it had the sealer put on the inside. Show you that again here with this camera. Maybe you can see, but try to get in there the best I can. You can see all the different colors, and of course that old fuel. Try to get you in there the best I can, but you can see just the grime that's in it and the material that's coming off the sides, which is that old sealer. So what that was doing was breaking down and coming up through the carb. Even with double gaskets, double filters, it was still passing through and gumming up the single barrel carb on here. So it was time. So we're gonna get this new one together. We'll get this one actually drained out, get this old nasty gas out of here. Then you notice it's got a drain on there. I'm not sure if that new one's gonna come with that drain, but honestly it looks just like a pipe plug. So if we need to, we'll just grab a new pipe plug with the new tank and put that on there. Everything goes back together and we should be good to go. So hopefully with a better, cleaner fuel system, we can get this thing running. The carb was doing a lot better. It's just filling up with that fine settlement from that tank. The bottom line is, that stuff's just breaking away off the edges of that fuel tank and keeps clogging up that filter. You can even see, maybe you can look down in here. There is one filter that's pre-pump, and you can see the trash and stuff in it. It's been changed out multiple times, so it's just time. So I got one pre-pump, I got one here. That's going to be changed out for another plastic one. These are kind of notorious for leaking and causing a fire on the manifold when it gets hot, so we'll change that out as well. But hopefully we can get that done and get this thing up and running. Never know, might get in some burnouts or something. Who knows? I got 4 tires on the back. This thing's a 235 6-cylinder. It's got a granny gear for a reason, you know what I mean? So anyway, let's get this new tank, see where we can go from there. Well, finally got this fuel tank picked up for the 56 Chevy. Just picked it up in this old extended cab. So let's get it unloaded and go over there and compare it and make sure it's actually going to work. All right, here's the fuel tank we've been waiting on. So just got it picked up at the O'Reilly Auto Parts. So you don't have to worry about going to a specialty place to get fuel tanks. You can actually get it from your local O'Reilly Auto Parts. So this one right here is a Precision FT5221. It's also known as a GM55B. This should be an exact match for this 56 Chevrolet 3600. So let's open it up and see what we got. So the first thing you're going to notice here is we do have a new gasket, sealing ring for the level sensor. So your sending unit comes with new bolts too. So bad thing is, or the good thing, we don't have to use barn screws anymore. So we actually have the proper hardware for it. So let's open this up. We'll take a look at it and match them up side by side. Okay, so just setting these up side by side, they actually look very close. Actually, I would say they look pretty identical. One thing we want to do is we want to check, the length and the height look very similar. The vent tube and the fill tube look very close, and we can actually check that by using the hoses. So these are the old hoses that come off there. So yeah, it slips on the fill tube real good, so I'm sure that's going to be a good fit. And then also, of course, I got my dad's AC line that he used for the vent tube, and why change it now? It's lasted all these years. So let's make sure it's the same size, and looks like it's going to fit. So I think what we'll do is let's let's take the sending unit back out of this old one. We'll put it into the new one, make sure it fits. Of course, if it fits, we're going to go ahead and go on with the installation. But everything looks pretty well accurate, so I think we'll get this one dressed up and ready to go. I also noticed this one has the drain tube, yes, right here. So it comes with the plug, it's already set to go. You don't have to worry about any of that. So looks like it's going to be a direct replacement to put right into the 56 Chevrolet. All right, so I'll go ahead and take this old sending unit out. Like I said, I put it in here just to kind of keep it from, well, I don't know why I really needed to put it in to protect it from the rain, but left it out overnight while I was waiting for this new one to come in. Good thing is I don't have to reuse this old hardware, which is barn screws. Now these were provided by my dad, and really what this is self-tapping screws with the barn washers that has a sealing ring on them that will actually keep from having leaks in your metal barns. So my dad was a guy of using whatever he can get a hold of, so saved a lot of money that way, I guess. Pass that savings on to me to have to fix it this way. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Our sending unit was still good. It actually still worked, surprising enough. I'm gonna kind of scoot this over. Last time I took it out, I had to kind of worm it to that one side, so we'll get this out, just tilt it over, and hopefully that float just comes out that way. Before you put it on, we're gonna need to open up the hardware because we need to get that new gasket in here underneath this. And matter of fact, I probably ought to take a little bit of time to clean this one up. You can actually, my goodness, that's an old one right here. You can see it's just rubber brittle, just completely fell apart. So with that off there, it's actually cleaner than what I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot rougher than that. So we should be able to just open this up and get this new gasket on here. So we want to put that on here first. So we'll have to slide it over the float and over the pickup tube. Now once we got it around there, we should be able to hold it up to the actual sending unit itself just to make sure it lines up properly. And just kind of keep rotating it around here to make sure all the holes line up pretty good. And thank the Lord, it's a match. It's a little bit off, but not bad. I think we're going to be able to make it work. Just have to probably get it in there and make sure it's centered up properly. So let's go ahead and set this thing back down. So we'll put the float in first. We'll do just like we did on the other one. Slide it in. Then get the tube in with it. Then go on down into the tank. With the way this was set up, the feed tube went straight out that side. It wasn't on an angle or anything, I don't believe. So just kind of looking here, looks like the screw holes and the bolt holes for the tank match up pretty good. I think the biggest thing now is just making sure we get the bolt started with the gasket and make sure everything stays aligned until we can get it completely bolted down. But first thing is just get them all started, then we'll go from there. Okay, I got the old sending unit in the tank, and the hardware for this is not like I said, the other one, the old barn screws. These actually have a T20 Torx bit on them. That's the type of head that you're going to use when you go to fasten these down. Now mine don't exactly match up 100% perfectly, so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to start them offset. I'm going to start my second one offset just to get the hose lined up. Then what I'm going to do is I'll come in and I'll start to line up the rest of them. The rubber gasket is pretty pliable, but it's also got some firmness to it, where obviously the other one was not. So the main thing here is to get them started without over tightening or stripping the bolts. Okay, so that one started pretty good. Like I said, we don't want to strip the bolts out, so we've got two of them started. The other ones are, as you can see in there, they're kind of offset with the hole according to the rubber gasket. The holes do line up okay. It's just the rubber gasket is extremely tight, which you know, is probably preferred. So we'll get these other three in here and then we'll catch back up. Okay, now that we got all the bolts started, the gasket was really tight as you can imagine. to help really seal around these screws. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these in here a little bit. I'm not going to really crank down on them, just kind of get them in position really good. Not going to over tighten them. The gasket will do its job there. I've basically got them snug. I'll finish it up when we're in there inside the cab, because if you'll remember, I actually have to take and put a ground wire that's grounded. Actually, this screw here, my sending unit wire goes right here. So I'm actually going to back this one out, and we'll have it ready to go into the vehicle, and we should be ready to go. Really, there's nothing else to do to this tank aside from getting it in, getting in position. One of the things we'll have to wrestle with a little bit is just getting these hoses to slide on, because the way I had to put them or uninstall them was I had to take this hose, run it up on the neck to get the clearance to get this to come out. This hose here, I had to slide it down here to make clearance and pull it out off of the fuel neck. So might have to do a little wrestling there. Obviously don't want to create a link or a crack here by wrestling it too much, but the good thing is this has no fuel in it. That one had a little fuel, so it was a little bit more difficult to kind of get that out. So let's go ahead and get that screw out. That way we can put our ground strap on here in a little bit. And let's go ahead and set this thing in a position and make sure we got everything set up properly. All right, hopefully you can see in there okay. I've got this old container here, or this old storage pouch. It looks like he's got miscellaneous things in there. Hopefully we'll get that out of the way. I've got 2 metal straps to dodge, and my wiring. I'll have to pull that up. It's super brittle. And you know, we'll get that in here. Hopefully we can underneath these straps, get it set in position, and hopefully get everything lined up. I do have this bench seat top pulled over with a couple straps, and of course I'll show you here in a little bit, but in true fashion of my dad, he has these motorcycle straps, or what most people use them like ATV straps. They're inside the cab of this truck, but he's got 3 of them tied together because he kept breaking. So there's actually 3 straps into one that I'm using to hold the top of this bench seat open. So let me grab this tank and let's put it in there and see how it's going to line up. Okay, we just need to slide it underneath that band or that hold down, and slide this one under it as well and get it in position. It's got some really sharp corners on it, so you want to be careful for that, because it definitely will gouge you. Okay, I've got to get this band up out of the way. Okay, try not to rip the wiring off. It's brittle. Wiring probably needs to be redone as well. I mean, there's nothing better than having, you know, gas can, sketchy wiring, sitting right behind your seat. Looks like that's going to work out probably pretty good. It's pretty much sitting in the same spot it was. Probably have to make some more padding for the straps there. Making sure I got everything out of the way. Fuel line is going to be okay. I've got to put the hose on first, and then I'll position this, slide it back and forth to make sure that the fuel line makes proper connection and we don't bend that. So I think what we'll do is, the best thing is probably go ahead and put our hoses on for our fill tube and our vent, and then that way it'll give us an opportunity to make sure we get this lined up correctly. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, the big fill tube hose, it came out towards the neck. So let me check that real quick. Go ahead and put the vent hose on, which was actually on the tank. I think that's probably going to be better to try to position that onto the tank. Feels like a pretty good ways. I may have to get something on there just to kind of give it a little bit of lube, a little bit of push. Yeah, that one's very, very sticky. Okay, I think I'll grab something to put in there to help with that. Okay, I got me just a little bit of lithium grease. I'm gonna put all those ends and hopefully I can get them connected. All right, I got a little bit of grease here, so I'm gonna take some and just put it on the inside and the outside of each one of those. That way I don't have to fight with it too much. Be a lot easier to do that, I think, than to wrestle with it. It'll just help it give a little bit of ease sliding that on. Funny thing also about this truck, every time I rub against this old seat cover, it's so old and so sun faded, so disintegrated, it keeps trying to break off into my hands. So go ahead and try to slide that on. It's already going on a whole lot better. Let's see if we can twist it to get it down there a little bit further. Oh yeah, so much better. Now we'll slide the tank over. Notice the angle of my dangle is not proportional to the heat of my meat, if you know what I mean, if you're a Saturday Night Live fan. Just got to kind of slide it over here to be able to get this over a little bit so we can start mating the two together. I think the biggest challenge here is that polar seal hose he's got. My goodness. That thing no flex. So it's sliding pretty good there. I think the actual bottom of the tank is digging into the padding that he put down here. So I just need to raise it up to get it to slide over a little bit. There we go. Okay, now they're both actually made it together, and this is where I need to make my adjustments. So top hose, I'm going to slide it out because it's actually probably closer than what it needs to be. Then I'll also slide the lower hose out. Let's see how that's going to line up. You know, obviously we got a little bit of movement in the tank here for the fitting. You need that to be where it goes together pretty easy, and also have the right bend in the fuel line. That way it gives us a really good seal. I think we could probably get by right there. So I think what I'll do is make sure these pipes are good, make sure we got plenty of coverage. I'll go ahead and get the clamps on here, make sure our line is good. We'll go ahead and finish up with the wiring. All right, we got the tank is all put in, so let's check it out real quick. We can get you in here. So you got the tank in, straps are down, everything's hooked up. We got the wiring, the fuel line, and the fuel neck hoses. Those are all put in, and they're done. So now I wanted to change the fuel filters. Oh, here's that strap I was telling you about. So you can see there it's one strap, and actually there's two and then three straps. So kudos to them. But I wanted to change out this fuel filter. You can see right here, I got me a couple of Wix filters. This glass one here, but they're pretty bad about leaking and then causing a fire. But I'm gonna go ahead and change those out with a couple of plastic ones. So I use one here right before the carburetor, and then I've got also one down here that is right before the pump, and like I showed before, those are pretty nasty. So I'm gonna swap those out real quick. I may go ahead and put some gas in it, see if we can get it fired up on this one. Possible, may have to wait, because I think I'm gonna have to clean out that carburetor because there was just too much junk in it. But let's see what we can do, and maybe we'll see if we can fire this thing off. Won't get too involved with the fuel filter. It's pretty simple. There's an arrow on it for the flow that's coming from the pump. These just are going to slide in the hose and slide it in there. It's a little shorter than the glass one that I had, but it's going to be okay because the line's got a little bit of flex in it. It can move a little bit, so it'll be fine. Okay, just to kind of show you, this is the old one. I don't know how close I can actually get that to you so you can see it, but it is pretty rough. There's a lot of chunks. Now that's the one that pump. Back here so you can see it. It's got a lot of chunks in it. And that one's not that old, so it actually captured a lot of, you can see actually stuff, sediment floating there at the bottom, so not very good. So let's go ahead and get this new one put on here. As you can see, this one's pretty fresh.
Yeah.
The battery.
Battery's dead.
Is it ready?
Yeah.
Fire and hoe. Get out of here, man.
You need battery. We ain't got battery.
No, I charged it.
You sure?
Yes, it's the cable.
Okay. Seems pretty tight.
It's not that tough. I probably need to clean it.
No fuel. No battery.
Ready?
Yeah.
Fire and hoe. Dang it.
I don't think he knows what fire in a hole means.
Wiggle that cable.
How about now?
No.
How about now?
No.
How about now?
I'm not doing anything.
Try now. You want me to pour some in there?
Just a little bit.
10 years later, just a little bit.
Ready?
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I need a little bit longer. Okay.
It's leaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're leaking. Oh, that's not good.
Okay. That sucks.
Yeah, that's liquid gold. That stuff's expensive.
I wonder if it's just coming off of that or... Man. It's leaking off of both of them, I think. Well, I might need to replace the hose, but I probably need to get me a better clamp. Those clamps apparently ain't holding hard.
Ready?
Yep.
Well, give me a little fuel. Okay.
Ice cream.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Yeah, your mama. We'll make it.
To about right there.
Hot.
We got 2 gallons. Well, not even 2 gallons in here.
So, hey, at least it's running.
It's probably the smoothest idle it's had in a while.
Yeah, but I think we're going to have to clean it out because I think the accelerated pump, when you hit it, it's like having it stumble.
Yeah. Not too bad right there.
Coming up next.
Pull that back. You may be able to see that slush that's down there in the bottom of the bowl. Let's get that poured out, get it cleaned up, and then that squirter is right there. You can see the brown dot, and if you can tell, that's clogged up. It's